Hello and welcome once again guys to another tutorial. So a few days ago I took us through how to use a Linux terminal on Windows. Today we are going to go a step further. We want to be able to run C, one of the programming languages, on our Windows machine using the Linux terminal. So that is what we are going to be doing today, and then we'll go through a few examples of C just to give you an idea of how to use C with the Linux terminal. So let's get started. First things first, in order to be able to compile C programs using the Linux terminal, we'll have to install a compiler. So I'm going to open my Ubuntu terminal. This. Alright, so we have that. Good. Now, the first thing is to install GCC. So I'm just going to, maybe I want to create a directory in my root called, so make directory C program. So when I ls, you see that I have a directory called C program here. Now I can cd into C program and then do my sudo apt install gcc. You can run the install generally from your root, but I'm just doing this to make my task faster. So when you do this, you hit enter, it is going to install. Because I have already installed gcc on my system, I don't need to do it, so it is just going to read the packages, and then you see that it is telling me GCC is already the newest version 4.111.201 Ubuntu 1, so it's already been installed. So when you run sudo apt install GCC, you get that. Now we have done the first step. Now the next thing is, since we are going to be writing C programs using the Linux terminal, it will be advisable to install a text editor. So we are going to run sudo apt install emacs. Alright, so always remember guys, when you want to install any library or application on Linux, it is good to always run sudo apt update first to check for all updates before you now run the install. That way you know that you have all the things set and safe for whatever program you are going to install. So this one also has already been installed because I've been using it to do some of my tasks. I run basic functions on it, shell scripting. I use the emacs editor or the command line directly. So when you run this, you hit enter, and as usual I'm going to get the same thing. I have the newest version installed, so 0 to remove, nothing to upgrade it. So that is clear, we are good to go. Okay guys, so now that we have been able to install GCC and then emacs editor for our Linux terminal, let us test how to write a simple C program and then how to compile and print out the result. So first things first, we are going to create a file called hello.c in this directory, and when we ls, you see that we have it over there. So the next thing is to call the emacs editor to open this file for us. So emacs hello.c and press enter. So this is how the emacs editor for the Windows subsystem looks like. The Linux system, the emacs editor for the Linux system on Windows gives you a visual editor, unlike the Unix system where you write it in the command line. So let's create a simple C program. We are going to start by including the standard io.h, and then call the main function. So we are calling the main function. I'm going to do it this way. Then I wanted to print out some text. So let's say welcome to C programming with MBDev. And then I want it to be outputted onto a fresh line. So I just do this and close the quotes and close my program with a semicolon. Then I'm returning 0. All this will be explained later, guys, so no worries. And then bring my closing block. So this is how to output a string in C. So now the next thing is to save it and then exit. So if I want to see whether what I've done really exists in my hello file, I can cut it, and you see that the program is actually written in the hello file. So we have everything I just typed from the graphical user interface here. So that is okay. The next thing is to compile the program with GCC. So how do we do it? GCC-O, and then we give our compiler a name. I want to name it run all, and then I bring the name of the file, hello.c, and then press enter. So now if I list the contents, you'll see that we now have an executable file called runall. That is this name I gave it. So you can use this to run your code as you develop more on your C program. So in order to visualize the code and the program I wrote, using the shell command, I can just do this and call the script runall, and hit enter, and you see that this is the text I wrote in the print function. So when you call runall, it is going to print the exact text. So that is how you print out text using the print function. So that is one way to do it. Guys, the return statement is optional. That is optional. You can choose to put it there or not. Okay, so let me quickly take us through the function I have here. So the include stdio.h is, let's say, a directive to your program, and it is needed in order to be able to use the print function. If it is not there, the print function will not work. Then you see that I started the function with int main. Every C program starts with the main function, otherwise it won't work for you. Then I now have the printf, then the return statement. So that is how we write a simple program in C. So the printf, it is just a library function, and it is used to send a formatted output to the screen. So printf is a library function that we use to send formatted output to the screen. All right, so now let's test it with a few other examples, guys. So in this next example, we are going to output an integer instead of a text like we did in the first one. So I'm going to call my hello file, and then I'm just going to edit what I have inside here. I am not going to really start coding the function all over again, but in order to output an integer, I'll have to declare it first. So int, then let's say I give it a name, an int, so something like an int, and then I have equal to what, let's see, 15, and then you close it with a semicolon. and then I wanted to print out that the value of int is this. So let's see, how do we edit that? We just delete what we have here. Good. So the value of an int is equal to, then I bring a format specifier for int, that is this, and then comma and call an int, just like that. Now I want it to go onto a new line as well. Okay, let me just print it this way. Okay, so that is my program in a nutshell in order to be able to print an integer onto the console. So I'll save this, and then I'm going to call my compiler again, gc -o run all, then hello.c. I compile, and then I call run all. You see? So what happened is that, you remember I didn't put the output to a new line, so it printed it in line. So you see that the value of an int is equal to 15. Good. So now let's look at another example. I want to print out not an integer, not a string of text, but a float or a double. So I'm just going to edit the same file we've been using. Good. So we have our GUI here. So remember, we initially used an int by declaring an int. So now I'm going to call a float. So float a1 is equal to, let's say, 19.60, and then I'm going to call a double a2, yeah, is equal to 28.356, whichever, 35 will be okay. And then I want it to print. So the simple thing to do is to just change the text I have here, and then say a1 value is equal to, and guys, this is not an integer, so we can't use a d. It's supposed to be this. Then I call, oh, what is this doing here? This is wrong. Then I call my a1 float. So a1. I'm going to do the same for a2. So snappily value is equal to, then this one is a double. So doubles take a different format specifier. Then comma a2. Sorry, this, and then I close it. Then with my return statement, my code is ready to run. So I can now save this and then exit and run my gcc run all, and call my file, compile it, and then do an output. Guys, so you see a1 value is equal to 19.600, a2 value is equal to 28.3500. So that is how you display floats and doubles in C also. So if you want to see if the output is really correct, I can just do a cut of hello so that we see the contents. Sorry. cat hello, that's C. And look at how I initialize the variables. Float A1 is equal to 19.60, and that is what is outputted here. Double A2 28.35, so A2 value 28.35, that is what it outputted here. So this is how we can output floats and doubles in C. What else can we do? We can also output just characters, and it's just a change in the format. So I'm going to call my emacs editor on the file again, and now we have our function open. I am going to remove this, I don't really need it, and then change this one here because I want to print a character, so I have to declare a character and maybe give it a different name. So let's say my car, then it's equal to. Now the difference between the int, the string, and then the float or doubles and the character is that with the character I have to put it in quotes. So let's say I want it to be M, and then I close it. So I've now declared my character. I wouldn't need this print function because it's just one I'll be working with. And then I want to output the character is. So the character is, then we bring the format specifier for character, this, and then the name. So what is the name? The name is my car. Wow, what I initialized here. So now when we run our program, it is going to output exactly what we have inputted in my car. So I will now save this and then exit. And when I exit, the next thing, you guessed it right, is to run my compiler, on my file. And then when it is done, I can now call it the character is M. I guess you can see it because I've not asked it to put it on a new line. It is just putting it directly with this one here. So guys, this is how you output in C. You can output an integer, you can output a float, a double, a string, whatever you want to output. These are data types, so you can read more on data types in C. Okay, so that is it guys. If you remember, we use some data types with their format specifiers. So I said I will explain later on some of these things. So to enter an int, you saw that I used this format specifier. That is what we use to specify integers. Then if it is a float, we use this. If it is a double, we use this. Or if it is a character, we use this. So remember to read on data types and their format specifiers. They will be of great help. So now a recap of what we've done fully. So to write a C function, we start with declaring an include statement where we ask it to include this, and then we now write our function. So guys, what this means is that the pound sign is what we refer to as a directive. We are asking the system to include a stdio.h file, and the stdio.h file is what we refer to as the standard input-output file. What this file contains is the declarations of the standard input or output library functions, and this is needed for the compiler to be able to output our code and then take input. So that is just what this particular command here means. So remember, without this you might not be able to use the print function. All right, so that's a wrap, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like, to subscribe, to share our videos, and if you have any suggestions or comments, you can leave them in the comments, and then I'll do well to respond to them to the best of my ability. And if you have suggestions on new content to create with regards to computer science, let me know, then we'll see how we can resolve that. Thank you. Bye.